All right, Monday morning, 4 a.m.
Back at it.
Back on the streets, back running our loop. And our loop was basically it was Lewis Point Park or Lewis Point subdivision, Willow Bend, Homestead Hills, Northbrook, and North Hills. And so we were just kind of weaving in and out of the cross streets and making big loops, and then we'd make figure eights and just real slow, kind of creeping around, stopping to talk to everybody, anybody who would talk to us.
It's crazy how early some people were up in these neighborhoods just walking their dogs. Like I recall at one point we talked to a man at like 4:30 in the morning who was just out with his, I think it was a German Shepherd, just jogging. Like, that crazy, but good for us.
Yeah, it was good. It was good for us.
So as light starts coming back up, we're disheveled. I mean, it's been several days. We're cold. We're tired. We're hungry. We've had a 4-hour road trip. We're just all the things, all the disheveled that you can be. And we're still trying to talk to everybody that passes us by, giving everybody a flyer. We'd hung them up everywhere, but we're still handing them out, writing our phone number on them, and still targeting the city workers, which was really cool because there were several. Like I remember one in particular, we hit up a park and he was mowing the lawn, or I don't know what he was. Anyways, he had taken a picture. David had given him a flyer and wrote his phone number. And he's like, I'm in charge of these 3 parks and I'm in charge of the crew that takes care of them. And he texted the picture of the flyer out. He's like, we're all going to be looking for you. So there was just some encouragement as far as hitting up those city workers.
Yeah, it did feel like that was kind of the right strategy to start talking to the people who were out there, and we were just asking the Lord for favor with those individuals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we got some of the best help from people who were professionals in anything but animals, which I thought was really cool considering how we did get brushed off by about that one animal control person who really discouraged us. I remember pulling over and talking and him saying Pixel was either in a field or stolen. Whereas all these other people we talked to asking for help were just so encouraging, like, oh yeah, we'll keep an eye out. And like it was a really interesting contrast between professionals.
Yeah, and it was tough because I remember what you're talking about. That was a tough part of the day because we've been at it since 4 a.m. And we've been working the shelters. Tanya's been working the online outlets that we had. She was replying to people and trying to keep that buzz. We're out talking to people. It was like 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon by that point.
Right. Yeah.
And we were already starting to feel very discouraged. And then that was a pretty disparaging conversation that we had with that person.
Yeah.
And, maybe we should get together at some point and make a list of the things that you shouldn't say to people who are looking for...
who are grieving for their dogs.
People who are looking for a loved one. But, so that was pretty tough. Now, we had been up, we had made that big trip back to Colorado. We'd been up all night. We had just a couple of hours sleep. We've been really hitting the pavement hard. We're doing a lot of walking, a lot of calling, a lot of whistling, a lot of everything.
Yeah.
Heaven is spent. She needs to go down.
That final discouragement was like it for me. I needed a break.
She's like, I need to sleep. I need to eat something. And that was fine because Tanya's parents lived really close. And like I said, we used their house as home base. And we could boomerang from where we were to their house and be back on the trail in like 5 minutes. It was a real easy turnaround.
It was, and my mom always had good food waiting for us, and just something was always ready.
Right. So we took Heaven back to the house so that she could get a little rest and have some fresh eyes. And Tanya and I decided we're going to increase our net yet again. When you increase your net for a search, it's really difficult because you've got kind of hope in a certain area. And now we're in these new areas, these new developments that we hadn't been in before. And now we're kind of trying to refamiliarize ourselves. And we're so far away. We're thinking if Pixel is out here in this part of the neighborhood, we're in trouble. She's in trouble.
Right. So we're out and we're just doing all the things that we know to do. And we're just like, okay, Lord, having done all, we're doing our best to do all. Like, give us eyes to see. And so as we're out searching, we run into my brother, who is out hanging flyers. He had taken it upon himself to print out a bunch more flyers and just hang them in all the surrounding neighborhoods we hadn't even been to yet, neighborhoods we didn't even know existed. He's out hanging flyers, and that was encouraging to us. But he's like, you have to see this. He told us, Pixel's going viral. And we kind of like laughed it off, like, what do you mean? And so his post alone on his neighborhood site had gotten all these different shares and people seeing it, and he can track how many people have seen it. And on his post alone, there had been several others who posted and who shared and whatever, but he only could track his 5,000 views. 5,000 views. That was on a day where we hadn't heard anything new.
We had no tips.
And so that was my encouragement for the day. 5,000 people saw this. 5,000 people know what she looks like. They're looking. If somebody takes her for a walk, they're going to know that's Pixel. So that was just so encouraging to see that so many people took some time to click a link and look at my dog.
Yeah, one of the other parts of our strategies was to raise as much awareness as possible. We were hoping that people had seen Pixel, but we were really just trying to raise awareness. Animal control told us that if everybody thinks that everyone else is looking for the dog, the chances of her being stolen are much smaller. And so we felt it was very important that we make as much noise as possible. And, that was just one. Michael's was just one.
Right.
There were several others, like 60 shares here and 50 shares here and 130 shares here.
Yeah.
And so, everybody's posting and reposting. And it's getting late. After we had run into Michael, we had been out there for another couple hours. It's getting late. We're losing the light. And so now we're worried because we don't know if Pixel's been eating.
Right.
We don't know what she's drinking. And so we decide we're going to set up some aid stations. And so we picked 3 strategic places to create aid stations for her, which consisted of food and water that were kind of tucked away and hidden, but in areas that we thought she was most likely to come to. And so we set up those stations. And then we're kind of cruising around the neighborhoods, making our final calls before dark here.
So we're cruising around, and I was trying really hard to hold on to encouragement as the light is going down again, just because we hadn't had any really new news, and so I'm just trying to hold on to that. And like we had talked about before, people say things that just I think they don't think. And so people had been telling us, there's a lot of predators in this area. There's a lot of predators around us. And I'm trying to just kind of ignore it. Oh, they don't know what they're talking about. It's okay. And I'm praying God protect her. And just as we're rounding this area where we were searching, David and I saw 2 foxes. And that was, oh my goodness, my heart was just beating a million miles a minute.
And they were bold.
Yeah, they were not people shy. They were right out in front of us. They kind of looked at us, but didn't like run or skittish away. Like they just kind of looked at us and sauntered through a hole in a fence and went into a field that was nearby.
Yeah, and it definitely put a cold chill in our spine, just about the harsh realities that Pixel was facing. She was facing first of all the bad weather on those first couple of days, the torrents of water. You're talking about a dog who's 11 inches tall at the shoulders.
8 to 10 pounds. I mean,
yeah, so she finds herself in the wrong culvert. She's going to get washed away.
Yeah.
So we've got all this weather, all these weather concerns. Now we've got all these predator concerns. There's foxes and coyotes and
eagles.
Yeah, all hawks and all kinds of other badgers and what have you. Then there's the traffic. These roads are
6-lane roads.
There's 6 lanes across and traffic's deep.
And she's crossing it.
Yeah, she's
seeing her.
People are seeing her. So she's out there. And then you've got, the evil person factor, the person who might find her and steal her. So she's facing all of these crazy dangers. And so we're out there. I guess it's about 11 o'clock, 11:30. And I look over and Tanya's just,
I'm done by this point.
she's-
I'm emptied.
she's dealing with spam calls,
Yeah.
like fake "I found your dogs." We've been talking to people. The leads have basically dried up. We don't really have any leads, and we're just wandering around hour after hour at 3 miles an hour. We're running into the same people at this point going, "Have you seen our dog?" And they're like, "You already talked to us." And
Yeah.
it's just really
It's just
discouraging.
exhausted on all fronts, like I haven't slept well, and that's one thing, but just the emotional exhaustion. I needed to pull away for a little bit and just right my brain and get some rest and put my focus back on God and not my situation.
Yeah, exactly. So we brought you back to home base. We brought you back to your parents' house.
Yep.
And of course, your mom had an awesome
fed me.
meal ready for us to go, and she had one for me too because she
Yep.
knew I wasn't going to stick around. You know.
Yep.
So at that point, Heaven is rested and ready, and to my surprise, she's up for it. She's like, "Hey,
I bought some flashlights, all nighter. Let's go.
yeah." So we came up with a plan. Heaven and I came up with a plan of how we were going to approach the night. And so what we decided to do was to go to each aid station that we had created.
And just park there for, what was it, 40 minutes each?
Yeah, 30, 40 minutes. We just set the timer on the iPhone. And then as soon as the timer went off, we'd start the car and we'd kind of book
Yeah.
to the next aid station.
And while we were parked there, we had the back door open. Mind you, the idea was that hopefully she would smell us if she were at one of these aid stations and pop into the car.
Right.
And I do recall asking just offhand, like, well, are you prepared for if any non-pixels hop into the car?
Yeah. Yeah. So that wasn't the least of our concerns. We'd also been stalking this neighborhood at 3 and 4 miles an hour
Yeah, they were getting a little
for the last
72 hours.
Yeah,
little
for the-
sus of us.
for the last 2 days at this point. Last 72 hours. And now we're pulled over. It's in the middle of the night. We have the door open.
The back door open.
Yeah. And we're just, so I was kind
Lights
of
are off.
surprised at this point that the police haven't been called on us several times by this point. But that was our plan. And so we just stayed all through the night, going from aid station to aid station.
And it was a cold night. I just want to mention, like, I don't know how we slept at all in the front seat because it was like bone chilling. I recall how we had the windows open as well, hoping to hear her. And we would just lay there and then the breeze would blow and it would like slice through any jacket or anything we were wearing.
Yeah. And even if we were sleeping, we were only getting, 30 minutes at a shot.
30-minute intervals.
Then it was time to go to the next aid station.
Mm-hmm.
But Tuesday was coming.